Hello, and welcome to Cooking with Todd. This is Todd. For today's video, I've decided to do a German-style chocolate cake with ganache and whipped cream chocolate frosting. What you're going to want to do is, in a large bowl, you're going to want to get 400 grams or 2 cups of sugar, 150 grams or 1 3/4 cups of all-purpose flour. You're going to need 75 grams or 3/4 cups of cocoa powder. I am using Ganache, which is one of the best cocos in my opinion. You're going to need 1½ teaspoons of baking powder, 1½ teaspoons of baking soda, 1 teaspoon of salt. And you're going to want to start by mixing this. So I'm going to set that aside, and you're going to want to mix this together. And you're just going to want to mix this together until the lumps from the cocoa is gone. Okay, so right about there. And you're going to want to go ahead and just set this off to the side. And you're going to want to go ahead and bring your liquid bowl back over. And in here I have 2 large eggs, 240 milliliters or 1 cup of cultured buttermilk. You're also going to need 120 milliliters or ½ a cup of oil, such as vegetable or canola. I also have 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, and back in the microwave I have 1 cup of water, hopefully at a boiling point right now. So I will go ahead and mix this together. Alright, that's pretty much emulsified. Now what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go ahead and just bring this one back over. And you're going to want to mix this into here. And I'm going to go ahead and restart my microwave to get my water boiling again. And you're going to want to go ahead and just mix this together. Now alternatively, you can just use a stand mixer or a handheld mixer. I do not feel like dirtying that one today, so I'm just going to do this the good old-fashioned way and use those good arm muscles. And I'm going to go ahead and get a rubber spatula, and I am going to scrape down the sides and continue mixing this. Just for a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and get the water out of the microwave. And you should have 1 cup of this. A little of it evaporated, so I'm going to add some more water. And you're going to want to go ahead and just add this right into here. It's going to thin it out, which is just fine. The batter should be quite thin. I'm going to go ahead and set that off to the side. And I'm going to go ahead and get my cake pans out, which I have lined with some pre-made parchment paper. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just line the bottom of it with some cooking spray. And that's just going to help the parchment paper stick. And you're going to want to go ahead and just drop your parchment in and smooth it out. And do the same for this one. Alrighty, and you're going to want to go ahead and put half of this, just eye it, into one cake pan. then the other half in the other. And if one cake is a little bigger than the other, it does not matter. This is going to be a layered cake, so you could go ahead and put the bigger cake on the top. Alrighty, and what you're going to want to do is you are going to want to bake this in your preheated oven for 25 to 35 minutes, depending on the size of the pan, but you are still going to want to go ahead and check these with a toothpick, and you're going to want to make sure that toothpick is coming out clean when you do check it. You're going to want to go ahead and let these cool for 5 to 10 minutes in the pan, and then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take something like a wire rack like this, and you're going to want to put it on the top like this and invert the cake upside down. And at that time, you're going to want to let it sit on a cooling rack to let them cool completely before you go ahead and ice them. I will go ahead and bring you back once all this is done. It's probably going to be tomorrow. I'm going to let these sit and cool overnight covered. So I will go ahead and bring you back tomorrow when I'm making the ganache and whipped cream frosting. Okay, well I'm back now and it's the next day and I'm getting ready to go ahead and make the ganache and the whipped cream frosting. I just want to go ahead and show you my cakes. And these cooled off at room temperature for at least 2 hours before I went to bed. And I went ahead and just covered them in plastic wrap. And just let them sit overnight. What you're going to want to do is you are going to want to go ahead and start with your ganache. And for that, I'm using 8 ounces of semi-sweet chocolate chips. You can alternatively just use a 8-ounce bar of chocolate that you just cut up. And right here I have 180 milliliters or 3/4 cup of heavy cream. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to put this in the microwave and get it very hot. And you're going to want to pour it over your chocolate chips or cut up chocolate. And you're going to want to let that sit for a minute. I'm going to just go ahead and get this warmed up and I'll bring you back. So I got my heavy cream in the microwave and I'm going to go ahead and get started on the whipped cream topping. For this one, you're going to need 473 milliliters or 1 pint or just 2 cups. And you're going to need 50 grams or 1/4 cup of white sugar. To get started on this, I'm going to go ahead and pour in my cream. And I'm going to add just a little extra to compensate for what stuck to the sides of the measuring cup. And I'm going to go ahead and give this a mix. And then I'm going to set my whisk aside. And one other ingredient you are going to need is some Lyle's golden syrup. And what you're going to want to do with that, let me get a small bowl. You are going to want to dilute some of it and some water. And this is a new one, so I have to open it. Now you could alternatively just use a simple syrup, which is equal amounts of water to sugar, but I am not going to do it that way today. I don't really feel like doing anything else, so I'm just going to do it this way. Alternatively, you could go ahead and just use honey or pure maple syrup. You're just trying to make a watered down syrup here. And what this is for is to help moisten the cake even further. I will go ahead and bring you back once this heavy cream is finished and bring you on to the next step. Okay, so my heavy cream's out of the microwave and it was in there for a good 5 minutes on high, so it is very hot. What you're going to want to do is you're just going to want to go ahead and dump this over your chocolate, and you're going to want to let it sit. I'm going to go ahead and scrape out the rest of this. No, it don't really matter. I'm going to just go ahead and push that over to the side, and I'm going to go ahead and get all the chocolate chips covered. And you're going to want to let this sit for 2 to 3 minutes to let the chocolate melt. And while that is there sitting for the 2 minutes, I'm going to go ahead and get started on the whipped cream. For this one, you're going to want to use a hand mixer, or you can just use it, or you can just do it the old-fashioned way by hand, which will just take way too long in my opinion. I just got a regular hand mixer with a whisk attachment. You can alternatively just use your regular beaters. And you're going to want to go ahead and beat this until soft peaks form, which I'm guessing is going to be anywhere from 2 to 5 minutes. And you're going to want to do this on medium high, just until soft peaks form. Okay, so right about there is the soft peak stage. And I'm going to go ahead and taste this at this time for sugar. I kind of want it to be oversweet versus your regular whipped cream, because you're going to have the ganache in there and it is a frosting. Okay, I'm going to say just a little more sugar. Maybe another 25 grams, or 1/8 of a cup. And I'm just going to eye that right about there. And I'm going to go ahead and just give this another quick stir. And go ahead and put that off to the side, since we are not done with this one yet. And I'm going to go ahead and pull the ganache out. And what you're going to want to do for the ganache is you are going to want to go ahead and just whisk this together. And I'm going to go ahead and add just a little more cream to cool it down and thin it out just a little bit. About right there. A couple tablespoons worth. And right there is the consistency I am looking for. And this is done at this time. And you're going to want to, I'm going to go ahead and just bring this back over here. And I'm going to put about 1/3 of this ganache into the heavy cream. So right there. And I'm going to go ahead and just, And I'm going to go ahead and just wipe the spatula off on the whisk and go ahead and set that back to the side. And you're going to want to go ahead and whisk this for a couple minutes until stiff peaks form, and you're going to want to do this on high. So and I'm going to go ahead and stop it right here and wipe down the sides. And go ahead and wipe that off on the whisk. And set that back off to the side and continue mixing until another 30-45 seconds. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go ahead and just get your mixer out of the way. And I'm going to go ahead and just clean my countertop off right quick. And now I'm going to go ahead and get ready for assembly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and set that off to the side. And I'm going to get one of my cakes, and I'm going to turn this upside down, just like that. And what you're going to want to do is you are going to want to go ahead and take your sugar syrup. If you decide to make this yourself, you can go ahead and just do 1/4 cup of water to 1/4 cup of sugar. And I'm just going to go ahead and spoon this over. Just like so. And this also helps sweeten the cake a little more too. Alright, so about half of that mix. And I'm going to go ahead and just rinse this off right quick. And I'm going to go ahead and apply about 1/3 of the ganache. And I'm trying to keep a very thin layer of this. And you're only going to want to do this to about half an inch away from the edge. So right about there is fine. And now I'm going to go ahead and add in about 1/3 of the frosting. And I'm going to go ahead and just smooth that out. Once again, keeping it about half an inch away from the outside edge. And I'm not really worried too much about mixing the ganache and frosting with the same spatula. Alrighty, so right about here, and I'm going to go ahead and put that off to the side. And I'm going to go ahead and unwrap my other cake and put this one on upside down too. And just like so. And kind of push down to disperse the frosting. And I'm going to go ahead and dispose of the parchment and plastic wrap. And now I'm going to go ahead and take more of this simple syrup and just spread it out evenly. And I am going to reposition this off to the side just a little bit since it was kind of falling off. And now what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go ahead and put your last little bit of ganache down. And go ahead and spread this out. And try and keep it all within half an inch of the edge of the cake. And now, since this is the final layer of frosting, I'm going to go ahead and just rinse the spatula off. And now I'm going to start by doing the top of the cake. Now my cakes were not quite even, as my oven is not really the most levelest, or as my oven is not really all that level. I would have cut the tops off, but these cakes kind of collapsed a little in the center when I checked them. So I did not really feel a need to try and cut to level. And now I'm just going to go ahead and frost the sides. And since I'm using a plate, I don't really have a good way to access the sides, so that's one thing I kind of want to invest in, is a good cake stand. Or just some piping bags. Well, you pretty much get the drift of what I'm doing here. I'm going to just go ahead and end this video right here. I hope everybody likes, comments, and subscribes. And as always, thank you for watching, and I hope you stick around to continue to watch me on this journey of mine.